This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Greetings, mortal. Thunder! Lightning! Whoa, that's kind of frightening.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 53 of Lords of the Storm, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true heroes of the storm. I'm your host, Greg Parker, a.k.a. Gizmozord, but you can call me Gizmo. And on this week's episode, Zool the Necromancer, also the last hero that has been announced that we know of, has entered the Nexus. The Monkey King is gone. We have our North American regional champions and the two teams headed to South Korea, and more changes to Rhaegar, along with a few other heroes in this week's patch. But of course, joining me this evening are some more of the Zord Lords themselves. First up, we have Mr. Kevin Ellis, a.k.a. Multi-Zord. How's it going, Multi?
I'm doing pretty well, but man, I miss the monkey already. Like that dude, he was cheerful, energetic. He got me psyched, and now he's gone.
I hated that thing.
I hated it.
I loved it. What, you don't like monkeys?
No, the only reason I liked it a little bit was because it was the same guy that voiced Winnie the Pooh.
It also gave
It
you
was?
gold.
Yeah, it was the guy that voiced Winnie the Pooh.
Did I hear that Winnie the Pooh is female? Is that something they came out and said? I believe that's a thing.
I don't know.
Don't quote me on this. We'll look it up.
One of us is right and one of us is wrong, because the Monkey King was not female, but Winnie the Pooh maybe.
I don't know.
But I'm fairly certain. I don't know. I heard it somewhere while I was pooping in a public restroom. Just the guy in the stall next to me said, "Hey, did you know Monkey King, Winnie the Pooh?"
That's the best source ever. Like that's the source I used to cite on my papers.
Yeah,
college.
Winnie the Pooh sourced
Yes.
from the Pooh. So I mean,
from the stall next
I
to
have
you.
I have no idea why that was the first thing to pop in my head, but I'm assuming that's the reason why. But we're gonna
Pooh related.
Really
we're gonna
fast.
get out of that.
Yep.
Get away from that, and we also have joining us Mr. Ryan Reeder, aka TBK Zord. TBK, how are you doing?
You know, I'm kind of sad right now, and I'll get into why
Yeah,
here shortly.
It's a sad.
I'll get into why here shortly, but it's a
Sad
sad night for me. I mean, it was a good night. I went out on a date with my wife. We went to Texas Roadhouse, and so, I mean, Texas
Oh, that
Roadhouse.
sounds so sad.
That was the
cried
sad
over my
part.
mashed
The sad
potatoes
part-
and steak.
Yeah, the sad part
That's right.
came afterwards. It was. We'll get into it shortly.
Yeah. But what have you guys been up to in gaming this week? Multi, I'll start with you.
Oh, I did my Blizzard triumvirate of Hearthstone, Heroes, and Overwatch, and last night I got in the Overwatch beta.
Oh yes,
time.
yeah, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Congrats.
So I've only had time to get a couple games in. Thank you. Because I've been doing a lot of 3DS stuff. I've been playing some Fire Emblem Fates, of course, like I mentioned the other week, the strategy game. And then, that 20-year anniversary for Pokemon where they re-released, red, blue, and yellow. It's more fun than I thought I'd have because I can do it really passively and then just sit around and watch stuff with my fiance or, anything pretty much because it takes no brain power to play that game. And yeah, so I'm to the victory road on the way into the final area with the Elite Four and all that. And Charizard did it the whole way, like literally cleared every Pokemon up until that point. I didn't switch him out of
Wow.
my top slot once.
You're super far.
Well, it's
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were that far.
as long as you can get past the second gym? Is the second gym the rock
Yeah,
gym?
the second gym's it's rock and then water, which are both
Yeah.
rough on him.
Yeah.
But then it gets
Charmander's
better.
got it rough at the beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
It's well worth it though.
Charmeleon before you hit that second one, you're okay.
Exactly. Is that in color on the 3DS?
The yellow one's kind of a really janky color, like because they came out for I think it was out for Game Boy Color,
Yeah.
but I bought red,
Yep.
so no. straight black and
Man.
white.
What is there a reason to play that on 3DS and not just a Game Boy?
I mean,
The Pokemon
can-
Bank, right?
Is it black and white 3D?
you can.
I feel like that would really
mess.
mess with my eyes.
You can Pokemon bank them, which is kind of pointless from a competitive video game standpoint because the
Yeah, that's
actual future ones are better. But you can actually link up with people live, like over the local wireless, and that's kind of cool because I get this creeping feeling that the local, comic shop near me that does Pokemon tournaments is probably going to have some fringe side tournament with red, blue, and yellow, and I'm gonna have a team ready for that one for sure.
That's awesome. That's really cool. TBK, what have you been up to in video games this week?
Oh man, not near as much as I'd like to be. I haven't had time to play a whole lot of anything besides Heroes. And in fact, because the weekend was mostly taken up watching Heroes.
True.
And so on Sunday, I jumped on and I looked at my game history, and I hadn't actually played a game in like 3 days. And then everything else above that was Observer. So I had casted like 8 games, and then I hadn't actually played a game for 3 days. I was like, oh crap. So I took a break during one of the Heroes breaks, and I played like 3 quick matches because I had to. And then I played a bunch Monday and Tuesday as well. Got some good Zool time in. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. I got to tell you, so I enjoy watching these tournaments, but they got to figure something out, man. For what was 8 teams, a 2-day tournament.
They're
Like,
long. They're
I've-
long.
All I did, I literally laid in bed all weekend with bagel bites. They weren't pizza rolls. I said pizza rolls. It's close enough. They're actually better. And
Really? No.
here comes Monday.
No.
Bagel bites
Blasphemy.
No.
with pizza.
They're
With pizza
okay.
bagel bites. They're amazing.
They're not bad. They're no
I
pizza
mean,
rolls.
yeah, they're fine.
But you would think I'd be well rested come work Monday. No, I just felt like a friggin' turd. Like I had no energy. My body hated me. I don't know. I've been in the hospital before for 3 days. That's what I felt like. Like I was just bedridden, and all my muscle had deteriorated. But it was a
Atrophied.
it was a fun weekend though. I still not a whole lot of time for gaming this week, but I got back in some Heroes. Did the Monday Night Customs this week, where we did just a whole bunch of crazy games, like we did for the Charity Brawl instead of our regular Monday Night Customs. Played some Zool and a little bit of relaxing time in what's it called, Stardust Valley. I think a new Steam game. It's pretty much Harvest Moon ripoff, but it's fantastic. It's really relaxing. I don't know. But yeah, so lots of Heroes this week, though. So let's go ahead and get into it. What do we got in the store sales this week, TBK?
So this week we actually have Lunara on sale, and her Sentinel Lunara skin, which is actually pretty cool. It's only like $350. So if you want a cool Lunara skin, that's good. And then Jade Dragon Karazim. And this is the one with the Goku skin.
Yes.
I believe.
And the
Goku color.
Fire Lord Ozai, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
I would not know that, but I
Supposed to
will
be
bow
somewhat
to your
reminiscent.
knowledge
Yeah, I think that's
on the Fire Lord.
I think that's the second tent is the Fire Lord one.
Yeah, the
Right,
red
right.
one. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's a sweet skin.
It is.
I absolutely love that skin.
yeah.
It's no Airbender skin.
I think what I've decided I'm going to start doing now, because I've always, like these new Heroes and stuff, I buy the bundles that come out. I think I'm just going to, because I have so much gold now, that I'll just get the hero with gold and then wait till the skin goes on sale. Because it generally goes
Yeah.
on sale like 2 or 3 heroes later,
Yep, that's a really good
unless there's a mount.
good option. Yeah, I know. I got suckered in. I got the Zool bundle because I
Did you too,
wanted
Greg?
that serpent
Yeah,
mount.
of course. I mean, do you even have to
It's a
ask?
pretty cool mount.
As soon as I get my
But-
paycheck, I just sign it over to Blizzard.
But for those of you who do want cheaper heroes, Thrall was actually reduced in price this week as well. $8.49 real money and $7K gold.
Yeah.
So
That was
you don't have Thrall, he's a great pickup right now. Very competitive, very fun hero.
I'm really excited about that because for my Smurf account, it's cheaper gold.
Oh,
That's-
yeah.
There's my next 2 heroes, I think, are going to be Falstad and Thrall, both at 7K. So,
Yep, and they're both fantastic.
yep. But Multi, what do we got in the free hero rotation this week?
Oh, we got some interesting ones. We've got Artanis, ETC, also known as Etsy, Gazlo, Jaina, Lili, also known as Lili, of course, The Butcher, Uther at player level 5, Thrall at player level 7, Asmodan at player level 12, and Nova at 15. So, I mean, if you like the reduced price of Thrall, maybe hold off a week because you can play him for free now. Why would you buy him right now? But anyway, it's an interesting lineup. You don't see the Butcher on there too often, I don't think, and that's always cool to see him thrown in. Artanis is another one that kind of comes and goes. I saw a lot of him this past. I played a lot yesterday to try out Zool and stuff, and there were quite a few Artanises, and actually Artanis can kind of hold up to Zool pretty well. You'd be surprised. He gets in your face and he doesn't peel off, and it's not a fight that Zool likes to get in.
Artanis OP.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
100% win rate.
That's right. 100% win rate.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fairly good rotation. I mean, besides the Gazlo, which when are we going to see
Right.
that rework?
I know, we're
No,
still waiting on
and
it.
Tychus.
Yeah, we'll probably
Tychus and him need it bad.
we'll see those when we see bans, guys. Don't worry, it's coming.
The bad part is we haven't covered either of those heroes, and we're kind of waiting for the changes, but who knows when they're going to be. So
Seriously.
Yeah, no
we'll
kidding.
just have to see. If we do, like, cave and say, oh, we'll do Gazlo this week.
It'll be the
then-
next week.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
seriously.
That's where I was
That's
going.
like the Lords of the Storm curse.
It's been holding strong right now. Nova is feeling a little better now, so she's free, I guess. Thank goodness, at least at level 15. But TBK, what do we got going on in tournament talk besides the championships, obviously, which I guess we're gonna get to in a little bit.
Yeah, we've got a whole segment on the championship, so I won't hit that too hard. Suffice it to say, there was some really good play, and after a hard-fought battle, Cloud9 ended up on top this weekend, reclaiming the Bob Ross / Naventic crown that they lost at Heroes Rising event. So
I
good
called
for
it.
them.
I called it.
Yeah, good for them.
I am.
It was some great games, and I won't go any further into it because we've got a whole segment on that, and we're gonna hit that really hard.
Yeah.
So suffice it to say, it was really good, really good. Heroes of the Dorm. So the online qualifiers are coming to an end. They end March 6th, actually, and then preparations will be made, and bracket play, the top 64 teams, will start March 19th through April 3rd. And I would love to give a shout out to Shambulance and Cadaverific, who are both on Heroes of the Dorm teams, and both of their teams actually made it into the round of 64.
Yeah, it's Sham's
right.
team is the FSU, Florida State University, and Cadavers is in Ottawa, Canada. Dang it.
He's
on a Canadian team.
gonna correct
He's
you
on a
now.
Canadian team. Dang it. I was hoping you would correct me. Like you should know. But his team made it to the top 16 last year. He's going to correct me on that too. It may have been higher than that. Dang it. I real screwed the pooch on that one, Gizmo. Gosh.
Yeah,
I was
I
counting
actually
on
have
you to
gotten
know that one.
yeah, I've actually gotten the privilege to cast some of Sham's Heroes of the Dorm game with Josh Burry, my partner in crime. So if you actually want to see some of his stuff, you can check out my Twitch channel or my YouTube, twitch.tv/tvkzord, and watch some of the replays of that. Some really good games, and hopefully we'll be casting some more of those Dorm games, whether it be Sham's team or others here. I don't know how exactly they're going to work, if they're going to do more official streams for the round of 64. I know you're going to be able to fill out a bracket, like your fantasy bracket, and there's prizes for you if you get really close or in the top whatever of the brackets. So be sure to do that, because you never know. You could win a computer or all sorts of other cool stuff.
Yeah.
And for your bracketing pleasure, actually Blackout and L Train have our back in the chat right now. Yeah, we've got Ottawa was the town for sure. Carleton University.
There we go.
Cadaverific, yeah.
So I was right. Cadaver, take that. Don't get mad. Get
Sorry.
glad.
Don't be hate.
But
And then, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I was really looking forward to it because I procrastinated and procrastinated and procrastinated last year on filling out my bracket, and guess what? I never filled one out.
You didn't, did you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna hop on that this year.
Yep. And we'll have our lots dudes going far. Don't
That's my
disappoint
plan.
us.
I'm going to have them in the finals against each other if the bracket works out.
Yeah,
of
I don't care. Even if they're on the same brackets, it's happening.
Yeah, there you go. Just make it work.
That's right. Also, in tournament stuff, Lords of the Lane 3, we talked about that a little bit last week. It is going to be on March 20th. Full details are coming very soon, as well as if you are at our $5 Patreon level, one of the perks of that is a little earlier access for signups for the Lords of the Storm held tournaments. So patron signups will, for that level and above, will go out on Monday in an email, so you'll be able to sign up a little early. And then general signups for everybody will go live this next Friday.
Right,
Yes.
so not a couple days from now, but
Yeah, not a couple
the
days
next
from now.
one.
But yeah, it's pretty exciting. Multi's doing a lot of the organization. Anything else you wanted to say about that, Multi? Lords of the Lane?
More or less, if you want to look at some of our old rules for Lords of the Lane 2 in particular, it's going to be really similar to that. There's going to be some changes for sure in terms of like picks and bans, that sort of thing. Right now, I'm thinking that we want to do like two bans per team, and then do just like a ban, pick, ban, pick sequence, if you will. You know, trading off, obviously. So, but that's the only real change. I think we're keeping a lot of the same old gimmicky rules the same, with like, you know, no mules or anything, and then obviously the standard where you can't leave the lane and soak from other lanes, that sort of thing. But yeah, you check out the old one for details. But the new full Battlefy page is going to be up at least by Monday anyway, too. So something for you guys to peek at if you're interested.
And I still want to get in and test some stuff out just to see if there's anything else that needs to change, you know, with tower health and stuff now, because we want to try and keep
It's
the game
true.
times around the same time, whether that means
Yeah,
go
for
to the
sure.
core or go less. I don't know. We'll find out, though, because
I'll
otherwise
test that with you.
it could be a really long tournament or a really short one, so we want to get it right. But in the news today...
Wait, no, there's still more. I need to drown my sorrows, Gizmo.
Oh, yeah, that didn't get edited.
Oh,
So, there's been a lot of shifting in teams that has happened tonight, of all things. And so we actually get to talk about it while it's really fresh. First off, and the thing that hit me the most, super sadness, Rafflecopter and Battery are no longer a part of Team Blaze.
Yeah.
yeah.
It kills me. So that's really sucky. Big Impact was also let go from Panda Global as well. And the King of Blades Alpha roster has split from their organization. The roster is staying the same. I believe they're calling themselves like Gust or Bust. Something
Yes,
like
sir.
that. All the members are staying the same, but they split with the organization.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
that's all we have as far as I know right now. There is rumors that there's going to be a few more announcements of some sort. I mean, a little bit expected after the spring regional stuff finished. Kind of sad. I don't know, the state, and we could do a whole segment on this, but the state of like esports and team switching and rosters changing on the fly is something that a lot of people I know are very passionate about and are somewhat concerned with, as in esports in general, rosters have a tendency to change much more often than, say, an NFL team or, you know, an NBA team or a MLB. What is baseball? What is baseball? MLB team. And so, I mean, there's always going to be a lot of discussion around that, whether there should be contracts in place. And, I mean, part of it is probably money at some point. If the money's there, then there might be more of a contract thing. I know League of Legends had that problem for quite a while. I don't know if they still do or not because I don't follow that scene super hardcore. But at this point for me, I'm almost resigned myself to the fact that I want to follow players, not teams, because
Yeah.
that seems to be at least the current direction we're at.
So speaking of following the players, are these guys going to be free agents then, or are they still looking to play?
They are
None of them
free
are retiring,
agents.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Raffle's
they
a
are
free agent.
agents now.
Okay,
Both
that's cool.
Yeah, both of them actually announced their free agency.
Well, with enough
So-
people floating around out there, maybe they can put something pretty solid together.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a few good free agents floating
Yeah.
around right now.
And
so I'm
I-
not surprised.
This is good discussion, so I want to keep on this for a second. But
Sure.
L Train brings up a good spot. You know, Rafa had a rough weekend, but in esports, like, does that mean lose a spot because of one rough weekend? Granted, it was a big tournament, but I mean, trades and stuff happen in other sports. The teams, however, are much larger, so they don't go as noticed. But I think there needs to be some sort of trade deadline, at least for the start of each of these seasons. Maybe trades can happen up until the regionals or something. And granted, they are now done with this season technically, so you know the trades can happen. But this kind of falls in with a whole bunch of discussion that happened on Twitter over the weekend. Twitter was a deep, dark hole of angst and stuff over the tournament. Not just because of tournament stuff. Like, I don't know what was going on. Like, it was just crazy. But, you know, the fact, like, why do people cheer for teams that aren't the top teams? You know, like, why are people fans of them? And it's like, it's
That
really,
doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
to
well,
me.
it's really different in
Yeah.
esports. It's not like, you know, oh, I'm from Kansas City, I'm a Chiefs and Royals fan. Esports teams aren't like that. They're from all over. And, you know, some of them have houses or whatever, but it's not like if there was a house in Kansas City, actually, I probably would be a fan of them because they're in Kansas City. But it's following, you know, the personalities, the players. I do probably follow the players more than I follow the teams. You know, and we've had both Raffle and Udall on the show, both fantastic guys, really humble, very helpful, you know, and so I enjoy following both of them. I'm Panda Global and Blaze. So I'll definitely be rooting for Raffle, whatever team he joins. I'm rooting for Raffle. I'll be rooting for the team too, but it's most likely because of Raffle. So I don't know. It's esports. It's still new in the United States, I guess, or North America, popularity-wise, and it's growing. Maybe this is just kind of the growing pains. Maybe it'll get better. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, and honestly, like I was saying too, and just to throw it out that we don't know why Raffle and Battery left. We don't.
Yeah.
That information has not been released, so we don't know if it was a performance thing over a weekend or if it's been something that's been brewing. So we don't want to really speculate to that, other than he left.
Well, Raffle, he
And-
released a statement just saying that him and the team have different ideas on where
Yeah,
they want
different
to
directions.
go. Different directions. And
But yeah, that could mean any one of
Exactly.
you know many things. So we don't want to speculate on that. But I mean, going back to my other point, I think a lot of it has to do with money, because in these big organizations, in these actual major league sports teams like the NFL, like the MLB, there's so much money involved, and so there's contracts. And right now in esports is really just growing now. You have a few things like Counter-Strike, Dota 2, League of Legends that are big enough and actually have teams with like legit contracts.
yeah.
And then you do have a few teams like Tempo Storm, I believe, does contracts. There's a few large organizations that are starting to get in that actually do sign people to a contract of some sort. But a
Well-
lot of these teams don't have that money to do that, and so they don't do contracts or don't guarantee people spots.
And some of the largest organizations span several different games
Oh,
and are
yeah, for
super
sure.
established. Like Tempo Store is definitely an example.
Yeah.
Like Cloud9, some of these others. So it makes sense for them to already have the infrastructure within their organization to do contracts. But I think some of the newer ones just haven't gotten all of the legal stuff figured out yet necessarily. And that's frankly how people can just get up and leave
Yeah.
in situations like this.
Yeah.
And they're more volatile because of it.
Actually, I would love to get an owner of a team, even like a smaller team that's just starting or something, to come up, because I would love to know how they make money in esports in its current state. Because do they split winnings with the team? Do they take a percentage? Because in that case, if there's a team and they're not winning, then that could be a huge reason why, all right,
there's
this
no money
this team isn't
coming.
working. Drop somebody, get someone else in here, and we're gonna keep trying something. Otherwise, how do they sustain themselves?
I once heard the argument, and I don't have any numbers to back this up, but I've heard that all of esports can just be thought of as advertising. Like, not only is the esport itself advertising for whatever game people are playing, but the teams individually are all about like just getting the brand name out there. Like the jerseys are a big deal apparently for just bringing in, foot traffic on the internet or however else these actual organizations are making the money. Again, I'm no expert on it, but when I listened to a Pokemon podcast that was talking about how esports is getting into Pokemon, and they just said something that really rang true to me, that esports is marketing pretty much, period. And I think I get that.
Yeah. So maybe when it grows, who knows if it'll get its own TV channels and stuff, and then there will be TV deals and stuff for each of the teams for percentage on viewership or whatever. I don't know, but anyways, this leads into our next topic pretty well. Yahoo announced today. I found out about today. I don't know if it was announced today. Launched an esports section. And it features Heroes of the Storm right up on like its top tabs. I think there's 5 games featured. Heroes is one of them. And the guy heading that up is Dylan Walker, aka Deluxe. He was the former manager of Cognitive Gaming. But they have a surprising amount of content up there already. A lot of interviews. Some of them are pretty funny and stuff. So, it's Yahoo, which isn't the biggest thing in the world anymore, but it's still more coverage coming out at a pretty fast rate for not just Heroes, but esports in general, which is a fantastic sign once again.
Yeah. All for that stuff.
For sure.
So
especially for them to feature HOTS. Since that is a smaller game, it's really cool to see that on their first iteration launch of their site.
Yeah, exactly. And with him, being a big Heroes guy, I'm sure that helped a little bit. But they have, I think it's CSGO, Heroes, League, Dota, and maybe Hearthstone? I don't remember. But it's good stuff. Good stuff. We had another patch come out today, and with Zool, which is fantastic because we've all been waiting on that. But we'll talk about him in a little bit. We'll get to some of the other stuff that was in there. Nothing huge. What is it? The Monkey King Lunar Festival has ended. It's gone. So no more Monkey King.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
For worse, man. I miss the monkey.
But so that bundle is gone. You can still get the some of the mounts, I think. Like the Cloud Serpent mount is still available, but just through the Zool bundle. And the Lunar Dragon is gone, I guess. Actually, the Cloud Serpent wasn't there, was it? It's just new with Zool, right?
Cloud Serpent's new with the Zool bundle. They actually said that it's going to remain in the bundle exclusively for a few weeks, 4 weeks or so, and then it'll be a single purchasable item.
Yeah.
But the Lunar Dragon went away with the event.
But they say it will come back as an individual item in the future, which is nice. But then also in the interface, the Observer slots is now up to 6 players instead of 2.
Right.
Which this is very big. I think this could help out in the Lords of the Lane tournament, and along with our custom games. But just casting in general, it's going to have chances for a lot more views, whether the casters themselves can control cameras that the actual screen isn't seeing, the actual observer who's in charge of that, so they can keep up on stuff happening in other lanes. I don't know. Just 6 seems like a lot.
I think
it does.
But I'm okay with it.
I think it'll
It
benefit
seems like too much.
I think it'll benefit the higher end productions far more. I don't think we'll see a lot of the smaller stuff be able to make big use of it. We'll probably see some extra stuff, but I think this is going to really help the especially the bigger tournaments or the Blizzard run tournaments, because if I remember right, was it Heroes Rising that did some of that picture-in-picture stuff?
They did it.
Do you remember seeing that?
Yes.
It was,
they did it in the
I
ESL
believe it
thing
was
too,
them.
but it was just of other stuff. It wasn't of Heroes.
So that kind of thing is going to become way easier because you'll be able to have all these different like observer locations and be able to do cool stuff like that. So that's what I'm really excited for.
Yeah, that's cool. The other cool thing they added was the cooldown and status announcements, and I just noticed this today playing that people were doing it, and I was super scared to try it because I was
yeah.
I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna cast my ult, and I'm gonna waste it. So I had to wait. It works though. Just
Well,
left. Or,
you know, if that does happen, you still announced that it was up.
yeah, it was up, guys. It was up.
It was
They
up.
saw the animation.
It was up.
But yeah, it's just
But you
hitting
have to hold
alt
right?
and then left clicking an ability. I wish you could alt and then just hit the button. You can't do that. I tried that. So that's unfortunate because I don't want to have to, move my mouse down there in a possible crazy situation just to do that. Yeah, that's cool. Let's get into the hero changes. TVK, your girl, she got some more buffs. What'd she get?
Well, she her snipe, her Q, the damage was increased again from 295 plus 4% per level to 310 plus 4% per level. And then the Snipe Master talent, the damage bonus stack was increased from 12% to 15%, and the effect stacks up to 5 times. So they're really trying to make that Snipe Master work. They're pushing hard for it because right now her W build is by far the best.
Yeah.
As far as a consistency damage perspective. A lot of people just don't even bother with the Snipe Master talent because it has to hit heroes. And if you hit a minion or something or anything gets the way, it doesn't even matter if your snipe hits. And I believe it's still like this. I don't think they changed it. If it hits like a minion or misses, you'll lose your stacks.
Yeah.
It has to hit a
Right.
hero
And
as far as I'm aware.
That's at level 1, right? Is that a level 1
Snipe
talent?
Master? I'd have to go check.
I don't know. I mean, because
really early on, so that you can stack it up.
The W build is, it really is fantastic. 'Cause level 1 is the increased range, which makes, it's not a skill shot. It's just activate and click. So
Right.
it's guaranteed damage versus, possible minion being a butt or a Zagara or a Nubarak popping a bug or something up there.
it's
to
just
block it.
hard.
Still,
Level 7.
couldn't you
Okay.
still slow them with the W and then just get a snipe off a little bit easier? I mean, I know you were talking about that hit cycle back in the day, Ryan, but
Yeah, but it's still
I
like
mean, you totally can.
like roaches, minions,
Yeah,
Nubarak
right.
beetles, Zagara things like I don't know. I don't think it should
Skeletons.
completely. And actually,
Yeah, minion waves, anything that if you miss it, the stack is just gone. And so a lot of people just don't feel it's worth it. And the W build right now is good enough. So most people are just leaning towards that because it's consistent.
yeah, I almost wouldn't mind it to kind of act like gathering power. I don't know if that would be too strong, but it seems like now we have plenty of heroes that are counters to Nova, to where it seems like it would be easier to keep the stacks, but at the same time, I don't think I would be too frightened of them because Nova's pretty killable now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it for the fantasy though because it's called Snipe Master, and if you miss a snipe shot, you're not a Snipe Master. You should lose your stack.
That is true.
Mm.
That is true. I don't know. I'm still against the whole rework in general. That's my stance. I
guess as
played her literally a handful of times because I just don't feel her anymore. It's just not fun for me anymore. I don't know. She just lost what I enjoyed about her.
I don't mind
personally.
it. I like it, but that's because I didn't play her much previously, probably. And then Multi, another hero. This is like the third time in a row getting nerfed.
Oh boy.
What do we got?
bit
Ray
more-
God.
Ray God nerfing. He's still probably Ray God, and frankly, I don't think we would change our build from the other week around too much, maybe. But let's go over what happened. So on his W Lightning Shield, 3 changes. Not a huge surprise there because it was definitely the strong ability going into this, and still is. But so the Electric Charge talent, the one that increases the radius. The bonus to the Lightning Shield radius is decreased from 33% to 25%. So a little bit smaller there. It's probably, honestly, to address the crazy stuff you could do with Cho'Gall and that, frankly. And maybe all of this is to help lessen that. But okay, so the Stormcaller talent just no longer increases the Lightning Shield duration, just at all. So that's pretty huge. Earth Shield, the talent where you get the shield, of course, the shield amount has been reduced from 15% to 12% of the target's maximum health, which again feels like a direct shot at Cho'Gall there. So, I mean, that's added up. That's pretty significant. But then they went a little crazy, in my opinion, on the heroics here.
Mm-hmm.
We had all right. Well, let's stage up to this. Bloodlust. The mana cost has been reduced from 125 to 70. So maybe that'll make it a little more. No.
Nope.
But the big one, and this is again, I think it's just they're trying to push you toward Bloodlust, but still not going to work. In the end, they're just hurting Ancestral Healing because the cooldown has been increased from 80 to 100 seconds. So 20 more seconds on that guy. And you can still have it most group fights, I think. Like 100 seconds is right on that cusp where, yeah, it's probably up during the major engagements, but it doesn't let your team engage quite as often as it might have otherwise, and it's a huge deal.
Yeah, I don't mind the change.
I mean, it's not like breaking him or anything.
No.
I wouldn't.
But it has been upped like twice already recently. Because didn't it go from 60 to 80 seconds, or 60 to 70, and then 70 to 80?
It might have done over the course of his life, perhaps, but I'm not sure.
Because it went from 60 up to 80 not that long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Ancestral is one of the most impactful ults in the game,
It's true.
and there's still ults that are longer than 100 seconds. I mean, this puts it on par, with Maul, which I don't typically find myself having issues not having that up for a team fight. So I think it'll still be all right. And as far as the Lightning Shield changes, I don't think it changes the build that much. The Electric Charge talent, sure, but again, there was that other Lightning talent at 1 where you cast it on something and you also get an untalented version. Very good talent still.
Right.
And then
It
Earth Shield
just brings
talents,
them in line
Yeah.
a little more.
He's-
It's very reasonable.
He's still number
Yeah.
1 on hot slogs, so we'll see if that does anything. But let's talk about the new hero, Zool, to come out. Some first impressions on him.
Yeah.
I know I got him to level 5. Did you guys have a chance to get him up to level 5?
I'm
Yeah.
not quite there yet. I only had a couple games in so far, but love him.
Yeah.
Do like him.
He is. So I think, honestly, he is the most. The character is probably the most viable builds so far, and it's hard to tell because again, matchmaking has been weird. So like, I think I played 6 games yesterday with him, and in those 6 games, I did not see a warrior, and I had
That's
two.
painful.
I had 2 games with a support. In both of those games, the support was Tassadar. And then, of course,
boy.
as soon as I don't play Zool, then I get in a game that's 2 warriors versus 2 warriors. It's like, what is going on? So it's kind of hard to get a feel for which build is the best. But I mean, he has a push build, which you could say is unnecessary. Again, I won't really know till he gets played more. Assassin build, which is fine, and then I think my favorite, and I think could have the most impact on the game with like actual built comps and stuff in Team League, is his utility build is insane. So I don't know what you guys tried out or liked, TBK.
Well, I was kind of lucky because I actually found 4 other people, and we did 5-mans last night, and we did 3 or 4 games of 5-mans. So I was able to get a fairly decent how he felt with an actual healer and tank, which, I mean, it sucks you have to get a 5-man for that, but it is what it is, I guess. I tried out roughly each of his builds once. His damage build is absolutely insane. But why I don't think he's really overpowered. He feels strong for sure, but he has definite weaknesses. Like, he's very squishy.
Oh yeah.
Very squishy. And if you don't have that bone armor, and that's a 30-second cooldown, or 40 seconds if you talent it, to the attack evades. So it's not up all the time. That's not just one of those like a Nubarak shield you just throw on. It's just like I'm just gonna mitigate some damage. That's I'm going in and I'm gonna throw this shield up type thing. And so you do have to watch. His Bone Prison is very short range. And so it requires you to get into the thick of things to actually use, which I really like about it because it's not safe. It's an amazing CC for sure, but it forces you to put yourself into harm's way, which I like as well because it's counterplay, right? I really like his damage build, and the poison Nova is absolutely insane. His utility build's really good. I tried the pushing build, and I was not a huge fan of it because, one, I don't think he needs it. His W provides him with just probably the most insane wave clear in the game right now. And you're really gimped when you're out of a lane because you only get the benefits from those skeletons really while you're in that lane pushing. And if you can't stay in the lane or if you're forced to be out of it too much, it'll really gimp you for team fights. So I definitely lean towards the more damage or utility oriented side.
Yep. Multi, how
Sure.
about you? What's your feelings on him?
I mean, I like him quite a bit. I'm with you on everything you said. I will throw in too, though, that he's so good at pushing the lane that sometimes it's to your detriment because you just walk up to the minion wave, press that W, and the just cleaving strikes that you're doing from there with the cursed strikes are just so significant that you're just you're racking up crazy siege numbers, which always feels good as a specialist. And I mean, obviously, that's part of what you're going for. So it's really tempting to just wipe the wave, step up, try to hit the wall a little bit, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to go ahead and throw out there that Zul is one of the most gankable heroes out there. I mean, you do have the Bone Prison to help you out and Bone Armor, kind of. But if 2-3 people collapse on you in the lane when that happens, you can lock one up, pick the one who's the biggest threat, obviously. But then you're still possibly going to go down because he really is a lot squishier than I thought he'd be initially, which is fine. I mean, I didn't want him to be a tank. I want him to be a melee specialist, along the lines of Gazlo, perhaps, maybe a little bit beefier because he has to get and really stay in melee like that. But, man, I don't know. So one thing I started doing, full disclosure, I had a game where I got super ganked early on because I just wanted to push and try it out, obviously. And but then later on, I started to catch on to the fact that my opponent was laning pretty hard too. I forget who it was off the top of my head. I think it was just like a Rainer or something. So I kind of let him get closer to my towers, and then so I let the wave come all the way to my wall, and then I just wiped it out like seriously no character but Zul can do. And then if you bone prison someone when they're within tower range and there's no minions to absorb those hits, unless it's a really beefy tank maybe, they're pretty much dead because that Rainer totally got stuck there, and it was great.
Yeah, with how hard those things hit now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Feels good, man.
Feels dead.
he does have. I think he's second on win percentage on Hot Slogs right now in Hero League. I do think again that he will strive. I think we'll see some competitive play out of him. That Bone Prism really works well with a stun oriented team. Like I played a couple games with a Butcher and had a really good time with it. To where as soon as that Butcher's charge goes out, you just wait on it and then you throw that Bone Prism. He gets the Butcher stun and then the other stun, and if the Butcher's there, I mean he's just dead anyways.
Yeah.
But I personally will play some more this week and kind of decide the route of the build we're going to go when we talk about him. But the utility build is just so fun, slowing everyone. You can either make them vulnerable or make it where they receive less healing. And with that type of build, I think he'll do really well in like almost like a melee heavy type comp, like with a Sonya, Leoric, Thrall or something that people can just all get in there, because that's going to provide the protection he needs as well. Because again, it's surprisingly squishy. It's pretty insane, which is unfortunate because I kind of want to take that Shade talent to try it against some auto attack heavy teams, but at the same time, it's like, man, I really need that thing, and that 10 seconds is pretty huge. So I don't know. Let us know what you guys think about him and what builds you prefer and stuff. He's still very new, so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow these strict builds you're finding. People are still working out some new things, so maybe his best builds just hasn't been found yet. It's kind of a mix of two or all of them. We'll see.
Really quick though, which heroic do you guys like better? Initially,
the Poison Nova.
Poison Nova.
We're unanimous in that.
Yeah, it's I say that, but again, on my teams that was so messed up, there wasn't really good situations for the Nova because you really want people to be clumped together. Because if they're not, it is a fairly easy ult to avoid. Not only is it slow
it's a
going
longer
out,
cooldown
but
ult,
and it spreads, so you can just walk between those bolts that are coming out. So there's some games where it just didn't do anything because of that, but
Yeah, and it does do a lot of damage, but it does it so slowly that I wouldn't call it OP. Like, if anything's OP in this kit, Poison Nova's not it. It's just a solid thing to do in certain group fights.
Yeah, I don't think it's a ult you want to use at the beginning of the fight. I think it's one you want to use at the end. That way, it's going to cost a lot of healing to be able to heal through it for it to not still kill that character.
I tried. Oh, go ahead.
I was just because if you do it at the beginning of a fight, there's plenty of heroes that have things that are activatables to heal themselves, and it's going to give depending on the healer time to be able to kind of push through that with everyone.
Yeah, I wonder, and I was going to say, I wonder if this is going to bring Malfurion back into the meta more. We saw him a little bit this weekend, but we're starting to get more and more of these heroes that are doing damage over time. Like the Lunara, and good lord, Lunara plus Zul is just like head smash against desk annoying because your entire health bar is like that grayed out green of poison, and I hate it so much. But we might see some Malfurion coming back in. I did try mages in 2 games. I don't know if you guys got to try mages at all.
They're too easy to kill.
They felt underwhelming. They're very easy to kill, and they don't feel like they have very long range either.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was very underwhelmed by them.
I think the most the reason I saw it used in the past 2 days, again, not a long time period, but was people just going strict push builds and using it as an escape to kind of throw in behind them or to help someone on their team escape. But yeah, I don't know if we'll see a whole lot of Malf still. I think the game's in a really good state to where we're seeing a ton of heroes played competitively, which we'll talk about soon. But I don't know, Malf really struggled in the tournament this last weekend, and it's like
he was run quite a bit.
Anytime he got picked, did he win a match though?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah.
Anytime he got picked, it was like insta tilt for me.
A lot of teams used him against Lunara because of the poison stuff. I don't know exactly how. I would have to look back at the stats to see exactly how successful he was. But I mean, teams were trying it at least.
Yeah, it for the most part wasn't working out. But that's going to do it for Zul this week. Again, we'll get super in depth on him when we go over him as Hero of the Week. But want to take this time to thank our Patreon patrons, and just remind you guys can go to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm if you want to help support the show. We appreciate all that you guys do. And we have another Zord to welcome into our midst. So you have been deemed worthy of bearing the Zord title. Welcome to the Zord Lords. Yes, welcome, Blackout Zord. I see you in the chat tonight. Thank you very much for supporting the show. And just once again, thanks to everyone who is supporting the show. It means a ton. And it's crazy. It's just crazy.
For sure.
But without further ado, let's talk some Hero Spring Regional North American Championship happened this last weekend. I guess first off, we'll just go kind of overall impressions. TBK, what did you think?
I think this was probably the best Heroes I've ever seen. Like, honestly, just there were a few technical issues, but that seems to be kind of a common theme
There's always a
among
few.
yeah, that seems to be the thing. So I've kind of gotten used to it a little bit, but I was a little saddened by the lack of studio audience. It felt there was a few times where I was waiting for people to start cheering in the background and nothing came. So it was just it was almost a little awkward at times when
You hear the
big things were
teams yelling
happening.
at each other instead of
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah, so that was a little iffy, but as far as the skill level and the play level and where the meta's at, I could not have been happier. Like every single team that was there, with maybe a slight exception to Team Nom, not that they didn't deserve to be there, but they were probably skill level wise the lowest of the 8 teams. But the skill gap between the top teams, like when we saw this last year, when we saw this at BlizzCon, we had 1 or 2 teams that were just completely dominant. It was basically Cloud9 Tempo Storm last year, and that was they won everything. And so it was really cool to see it this weekend because we're starting to see that skill gap shrink a lot. Every single team got games taken from them, even Cloud9 and Niantic, and multiple games at that even. And not only that, every series except for maybe 3 or 4 went to 3 games, which was absolutely incredible. So I don't know. I think it's heading in the right direction, and the skill level is just continuing to impress me.
Absolutely. How about you, Multi?
No, that's a huge deal that it's going to 3 games too, because you remember some of the super early on tournaments, like way back in the alpha and stuff, when the skill gap was basically Tempo Storm, Cloud9, and then us in the same tournament, for instance. We've gotten a little better since then, but you get the point. So yeah, it's just so cool to see them go to 3, frankly, because it's more content, but also, again, way back in the day, there were a lot of just 2-0 smashes, and those are not that fun. Actually, that's kind of what's happening in Overwatch right now. I don't know how much of those games you guys have been checking out, but since we're in that phase in Overwatch, there's some teams out there that are just crushing it. And frankly, a 3-0 finals where they're just sitting on the payload the whole time and just wiping out the enemy team, isn't that fun to watch? So, and I'm sure that game, obviously, when it comes out and everything's going to balance out and get to where we're at here in Heroes as well. Be interesting to see if it takes about the same amount of time and all that. But anyway, overall, solid tournament. I really like the casting quite a bit. I know there was some drama about the casting in general that was going on Reddit, but that's Reddit, whatever. That's just what they do. Everyone did a great job. I will say I was a really big fan of Dredd coming in. I think that he appeals a lot to people who really know the game a lot to begin with. And much like the videos that we've been going over the past couple of weeks, I still learned quite a bit with his insights, and I think he really does a great job of stepping back and looking at the big picture of the match, trying to see, did this group fight really impact the flow of the game, et cetera, et cetera. And then, I mean, he also just kind of told it like it was. Like, he didn't pull punches. If he thought someone misplayed, he would, I mean, I don't think he was ever really rude about it, but he would tell it like it was, which was all right. I didn't hate that.
Yeah, I agree. Again, with this majority of the series going to 3 games, the casting, again, great. I thought it was hilarious. They're interviewing Arthalon, and he was talking about some of the drama and stuff on Tempo Storm, and it's just Dredd didn't look too happy about what was doing.
Oh, yeah.
He was just kind of stone faced. And then when they asked him if he had any questions, he was like, "Oh, not really," but and then asked them. I don't know. I thought that was funny. But back to the games going to 3, or series going to 3 games. Loved it. Super intense matches. At the same time, they got to do something. Esports in general has to do something about the length of these tournaments. I loved watching them. I felt like a piece of crap after I was done watching it all weekend. If esports wants to become a mainstream thing, and not even just average people, non-gamers don't stand a chance at watching this stuff right now. Gamers in general, unless they're hardcore about the specific game, don't stand a chance in watching these right now. I mean, there were 2 12-hour days. So I don't know if they need something like, while some people enjoy being able to catch everything during the group stages, have 2 streams going, doing both group stages at the same time. Maybe try and stagger them somewhat so you can, switch back and catch at least like half of each match. But again, that's just going to get messed up once the tournament starts rolling. But man, there's just got to be something done to be able to shorten these times.
Or more days.
Yeah, at
See,
least.
That's the only other option, right?
Even that, I don't want
more streams or more days.
I don't want a tournament to be spread out over, I don't want it to be during the work day. I don't want it to be 2
True.
weekends. Like, I'm not saying like, it's their fault and why can't you guys fix this? Because again, it's not like any other sport. It's got to be super, super hard to do, but it's something that it's going to have to be done at some point.
Well, if you think about it, part of the problem that they did run so long is because almost every game series did run to 3 games,
That's
and
part of it.
that's never happened before in one of these tournaments. Like usually when the tournament comes up, there's all 2-0s and then 1 or 2 game 3 series, and those are the ones you're just like, yeah, that's cool. I'm glad they finally went to 3. But when every single or almost every single game series goes to 3, that added probably 3 or 4 hours to the day.
Yeah, maybe to day 1, but again, this was only 8 teams, so that's 4.
Oh, and it was a double elimination bracket too, so
that's true.
I mean, you add that
That's
in,
definitely part of
and
it.
that'll add some time to it. If they had just run a single elimination bracket, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation near as much. But
So do you think they should?
it's more fair,
Yeah.
I think, because it gives teams who may have had a bad set a chance to redeem themselves. So it's especially when you're playing for this much prize money, you almost want that second chance, I guess. But at the same time, if you set the rules up to where it's just like, okay, guys, this is a single elimination going through, and everybody knows up front, I mean, at the same time, you can't really argue with that either.
Yeah, I'm glad they do it for the group stages and they don't do it for like the actual Final Four or whatever, because that just turns messy and weird. But how about standout moments? A standout moment from the tournament for you guys, TBK?
The Team Blaze Artanis game. Artanis was played in 1 game, and he absolutely dominated it. Like, the Team Blaze ran a comp with Artanis on Sky Temple, I believe it was, and it was just so much fun to watch. Because you never see Artanis really in competitive play, but they just used him so well, and I don't remember who was playing him, but he was super aggressive, and that's exactly how you need to play Artanis, because that's what keeps that shield up, and that's what keeps you alive. And there were so many times he would just be so little health, but then the shield would pop back up, and he'd be able to get that kill. And they ran it against the Illidan comp. Mm-hmm. That's right, they ran it against the Illidan comp, and so they picked his huge AoE blind, and that absolutely just destroyed the comp they were running against. Like, it just worked so well. It countered it completely, and it was just really fun seeing him in competitive.
Yeah, and speaking of not seeing Artanis, man, we saw a whole bunch of crazy teams. We saw no warrior teams.
Oh, yeah.
Who was it? Cloud9, I think. Did they run a no warrior team?
A few teams.
Yeah, there was a few teams that did. Just crazy. We saw Chin a couple times.
Sonya only warrior.
Yeah,
well.
What I think ended up being like 35, maybe 36 heroes picked overall, which is insane. Lots of Cho'Gall, which I was super pumped about. Multi though, how about you? A standout moment?
I can't think of one in particular. I was just gonna actually take this moment to harp on Dread's casting, but I've kind of already done that a little bit. So that's what stood out for me, though. I genuinely felt like I learned more in this, and I feel like I kind of know a fair amount about the game anyway. But just to get that perspective was really refreshing. I'm looking forward to more of it.
Yeah, he has he explains things just perfectly. Obviously, he's knowledgeable about the game. And he knows how to explain it to people and just for it to make sense instantly. Like Gilly is super knowledgeable about this game, and I love her
They all
casting
are.
as well. But there's one thing. Every time Battlefield of Eternity was being played, she kept saying so and so being attacked and stuff. And for the first like 3 games, I was like, "What? Who is that? I don't understand." It was the demon, and it was the
Yeah,
Immortals.
she calls the demon names.
Which I had
Oh, yeah.
no idea, which shows how how much she studies this game and stuff, and that's great. But I'm not sure for casting that is a good thing, especially if there's people who are just tuning in, have never played this. Maybe they're a League player. I play it. I had no idea what she was talking about. So people know them as the Immortals. I think that's kind of just a difference between the casters and stuff. But again, I thought they were all great. The standout moment for me, one, I know they got knocked out early, but Udall's play on Falstad. I thought every time he played Falstad, it was fantastic. He had some great gusts. They kept talking about K1 Pro and stuff having the best Falstad in North America. And while it was good, I personally, Udall's Falstad I thought was much more impressive. And then the Cloud9 comeback on Battlefield of Eternity, I believe it was game
good.
3 of the finals, to where, I mean, they lose that game and it looked like they were going to the entire match. That finals could have turned out very differently than being down 2-1 instead of up 2-1. And that turnaround was just absolutely insane. Which just goes to show, and Mick was saying this on Twitter, champion, that's what champions do. Granted, both Navintic and Cloud9 dropped games to some lower level teams, lower tier teams. But in situations where they need to make things happen, they do. And I think that's one of the big things that separates Navintic and Cloud9 right now from the other teams. And I think the other teams are getting close to it, but they're not on that level quite yet. But what can be learned from watching these games this weekend? There are a lot, first off. But TBK, what standout thing for you for that?
Dread's casting, and Multi mentioned this. Like, if you want to know about the game, you want to learn more about the maps, holy crap, just listen to him. He is so knowledgeable. He explains everything so well. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. I learned quite a bit of stuff just about rotations, about map times, about why teams were doing what they were doing. And I mean, it's not only that, you watch the teams too. I mean, these are professional level Heroes of the Storm players. You may not be on a team, you may not play professionally, but you can still pick up some great tips just by watching these guys, watching their positioning, watching how they engage a fight, watching how they engage the objectives, watching when they don't engage the objectives because of a level deficit or some other instance that they know would put them at a disadvantage. So just honestly, like, all that wrapped together, you can learn so much just by watching and listening, especially the spring regionals, and that is in big part because of Dread, I believe. And I did pull the stats for you, Greg. There was 36 heroes played, and 12 not played.
Yeah.
So 75% of the entire hero pool was played.
That's a lot.
And not only that, there was 9 out of the 12 best of threes, 9 of them went to 3 games.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's
Right there with
crazy. We've never seen that before.
Yeah, and it's it was one of the complaints a while back that it was just the top tier teams, but now, I mean, like, things can change. I'm super excited. Well, not only for the global championships, but for the summer league, because it's gonna be nuts. But yeah, I feel like this is something we kind of harp on each time there's a tournament, of just watching these games, seeing how they do rotations and these talent gaps and whatnot. And unfortunately, I wish they translated over to Quick Match more. But a lot of people don't watch these, so they still just do like the 1 or 2-1-2 or whatever. Some people are actually starting to go to like 1-1-3 or whatnot. But something I do think the general population is beginning to grasp, and maybe this is because more people are checking out some of the tournaments, even if they're not watching the whole thing, is people are starting to grasp the talent differentials now, to where like in quick match before and stuff, it was just like objective comes up, you know, you go for it because your team's going to go for it. You got to try and fight. But now, especially over the past couple days, I've been seeing a lot of people be really, mindful of that. A lot of smarter play, whether it's like abandoning an objective or just soaking lanes. Trading structures is a huge thing. Instead of trying to defend, if you know you're not going to stop it, go get something else on the other side of the map. So I think people are finally starting to grasp this stuff. But yeah, again, I can't harp enough. And I'm sure a lot of you, if you're listening to Heroes podcasts, you probably watch at least some competitive play. But if for some reason you don't, it's the number one way to step up your game. I mean, just from this weekend, I started playing a ton of Falstad again. And my Falstad play is like, he's probably one of my hardest like carries right now. Just because like watching people's gusts, how to position yourself for it, when to do it, when not, because just because you're blowing the enemy team back in your team doesn't mean it's going to be a good thing. That can really screw your team. It's just as dangerous as it is helpful. So
look, I gusted the team.
Yeah.
I love doing that, but that's me. Don't necessarily follow my example there.
Yeah, it's just super intense because, like, I don't know, as the one hero you're making that, and I did that in a quick match yesterday, and we had a Sonya, and she was like, that was super ballsy, and it was awesome. She's like, thank you for doing that, because, like, it wiped him when we won the game, and they almost wiped us because of it, but we came out. I don't know, Multi, do you have anything more specific, since TBK and I were not specific at all on what you can learn from watching pro games?
I wasn't planning on being too specific either, but I will say that if you are wanting to get a lot out of the games when you're watching them, you can't do it like I often do, which is like on my phone while doing the laundry, or setting my phone on the ground while I wipe out the entire refrigerator, like I watched matches and stuff like that. And so, but whatever, I'm a multitasker, right? So
whoa,
yeah, yeah, that's right. Anyway, so but kind of building off what you were saying there a little bit, Gizmo. If you are really interested in a particular hero, picking them up, or just someone that you really like, and obviously someone picks them, odds are one of the heroes you liked got played this weekend, because again, so many of them in the pool at least saw some love. So try to, if you didn't catch a lot of this weekend, go back and look at some VODs. If you're really interested in a particular hero, try to pick them out and see what you can glean from it. Talents, positioning, of course, as you'd said, a lot of different things. And again, it doesn't all translate directly into quick match, because you just can't make your teammates position in the exact proper way and that sort of thing. But you can still get kind of an idea of like how far back is the Li Ming staying when she harasses. And then obviously specific talent things. That Nature's Culling on Lunara was insane, guys. All the games that I saw that in. So, I mean, you're talking about how much of the core's health was poisoned. Some of those sick, crazy pushes that they did at the end were just possible because of that talent. And, it's just, it gives you so much more to think about and look into. But yeah, my main advice would be to not just watch the group fights, watch other stuff going on, rotations, merc camps, objectives, giving up objectives, and all that sort of thing. And you'll just get a lot more out of it. Yeah.
And you reminded me of something else. A lot of people play heroes, and the hero they play, they're stuck on one build with maybe a few variations. If there's something I learned that I hadn't learned from other tournaments watching this week, was how diverse people were with their talents. I mean, even the casters several times were like, what talent is that? Either because, icons changed up and they didn't know, or honestly, there was talents being picked that just typically are never picked, which is really interesting. So, try not to get stuck on, one particular build and stuff. Be adaptable. And also, I think to try and help this transition well to quick match, I think it's kind of our duty as hardcore heroes players to try and help that out. I found myself a lot more typing a lot more than I normally do in quick match because I like playing, not typing. But any chance I have that I can type something out, suggest something, whether it be like a 1-1-3 push or keeping someone in lane while we go to an objective because they're down somebody. But a lot of times that's met with a shut the F up, dick, but a lot of times it's met with like, oh, never thought about that, makes sense, yeah, like good or whatever. So it have some tough skin if there's a lot of those out there.
Well, you gotta stop being such a dick.
I know, man. It's darn those suggestions.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut.
So I need to start putting little smiley faces with the tongue put out so they know I'm being helpful.
Ooh, cold and pee. I like
Yeah,
that. I like
there we go. But how about meta? This again.
What meta?
Right?
There is no meta in Heroes of the Storm besides do not pick Malfurion. Currently. That's
Breaking my heart.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, again, 36 player or heroes picked, 12 not. And I think that doesn't mean those 12 heroes weren't viable. I think there's several of those heroes that have been shown that they're viable. They just weren't in these comps that these teams were working on. Insane. Li Ming wasn't nearly as high of a priority as I thought she would be this tournament. She kind of was for Naventic. Fan was playing a pretty darn good Li Ming, so he kind of grabbed her whenever he got the chance. But Rhaegar was still kind of up there. He was probably banned more than he was played. But explore heroes, I guess. If you like someone, keep working with them and full groups and stuff. Work some comps out. Don't just get stuck on a couple things. I don't know. TBK, you got anything?
I do. I've actually got some really interesting stats. I know you were talking about this, and I'll highlight where you can find all these later. But this is really key to the discussion. Li Ming was actually played in 27 games, and she had a 74% win rate in those games.
Yeah.
So she's a force.
Yeah.
She's a super force right now. And I think the really surprising thing to a lot of people, Sonya had a huge impact. A lot of people had kind of dropped her after her last round of nerfs. It's just like, oh, she's okay. She's not that good. She had a 68% win rate and 19 games played. And a lot of those were from Cloud9 and Naventic. They knew she was still good, and they exploited the crap out of that. It was crazy. And you mentioned Rhaegar. He was the only, I think he was either the only or one of the only heroes with, he was the only hero with 100% involvement, either pick or ban.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not a surprise. This
Not
was
at all.
pre-nerf. The European Championship that's coming up this weekend is actually playing with his nerfs. So it'll be really interesting to see how that ends up shifting.
Well,
he was played in 24 games.
It was pre-nerf.
Yeah,
Right.
European gets the nerf version.
That is
he has
true.
been nerfed like 3 or 4 times in a row now, hasn't he?
And he's still gonna be good.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, and then this weekend also proved Zeratul is still a force, but he is really only a force in the hands of a very good player. Like his involvement rate, pick or ban, was 92%, but he was actually only played in 10 games, which tells you how often he was still banned out because he is such a game changer. The same goes with Zagara. Zagara saw a massively high ban rate because in pro games, that Maw can just be such a game changer, such a team fight changer. It's just really interesting to see some of these different people that you don't necessarily see that much in normal play anymore, but in the hands of a pro can just go crazy. And the one other meta thing I wanted to mention was actually Falstad, which is really interesting because I think you guys can agree we saw a pretty high priority placed on Falstad
Yeah.
in these
Like,
games.
really surprising.
His win rate was only 30% out of the 20 games that he was played in. So I found that really interesting with how high a priority teams placed on him and how low a win rate they actually was. It's same with Jaina. She was picked in 18 games. She's considered, other than maybe Li Ming, she's considered one of the big mages. She only had a 33% win rate. So it's kind of interesting that some of these other characters, Uther, that we don't see quite as much because of Sonya, all having
Renara.
higher win rates than some of these heroes that are almost even more sought after.
Yeah, it's just meta is such a crazy thing to try and talk about now. It's
it
it's
is.
not
Yeah,
only is there not something set, but it changes every single tournament. It feels like so. I don't know.
Which is great.
Yeah,
I
it's-
mean
Yeah,
that
I
means
like that.
Blizzard's doing their job. That means they're releasing patches, they're keeping the updates coming, so it doesn't get stale. And so, because you remember that 2 or 3 month period where it was basically Kael'thas all the time, or all mage all the time. That was probably one of the longest periods without a patch, and the meta got very stale. There were only like 20 some characters maybe that would get picked in that subsection of space. And Blizzard, especially recently, has done a really good job ramping up their balance changes, ramping up their patch cycle, and we just haven't had that for a while, which is great.
Yeah, and speaking of Kael'thas, wasn't picked or banned all
Not
tournament.
Flat out 0%.
Didn't see
Nothing.
anything from
Blew
him.
my mind. Like I knew people weren't liking him, but wow.
There
Went
was
from-
a time when I thought he was way too broken, and there's a small part of me that is glad for this because there was a while he had a dynasty for a while there in this heat of the stun meta and all the stuff he could do. I mean, I would think is kind of satisfying to me. I don't know about you guys. Could just be me.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on the air quotes if you can't see the video meta in air quotes?
Yeah, I'm always kind of following the tank meta because I just find it really interesting. Any little change that happens to one really impacts all of them, which is always kind of cool. So I thought, frankly, that the little change to Muradin, where they took away the stuns from his avatar state, I thought that was going to be something that might reduce him a little bit. But nope, he was actually the most picked hero of all at 28 games. And at 18 wins, 10 losses, 64% win ratio, still doing work. So, which isn't surprising. I mean, he is just really good, period. I have no complaints about him, even with the stuns gone out of Avatar State. There's some tanks that are kind of surprising, like Leoric wasn't picked that much, 6 times, and he only won 2 of those. And then some of these other, like Johanna was just flat. I mean, 20 games played, yes, but 10 wins, 10 losses, flat out 50%. I mean, she's still good, but from my opinion right now, I don't think anyone stands up to Muradin.
Yeah, not even close. He's still
Yeah.
just. I mean, what's his stun called? Storm Bolt.
Yeah,
It's
his Q.
it's so powerful, and that dwarf leap, it's insane. Do you guys have any last thoughts? Anything you want to say on the tournament before we move on, TBK?
I just I know there was, like you said, there was a lot of stuff going around, some ragging on some of the other teams that weren't Naventic and Cloud9, and I don't know. I'm super happy. I think we're in a really good spot. I think that several of the teams showed this last weekend that we're on the cusp of a potential power shift. I think we're getting very, very close to seeing there not necessarily being 2 top-tier teams, but like 6 or 8 top-tier teams. And I'm super looking forward to the spring regional because I know a lot of these amateur teams or these up-and-coming teams or even the teams that have been around a little bit have been working really hard. And I don't know, I think they really showed off a lot this weekend.
See,
And the improvement.
I agree, and we say that, but 2 of those teams have now dropped players,
Yeah, and that's
which is really again frustrating.
and that frustrates me to no end because I don't want to eat my words on that some, but if you keep shifting players around like that, if you don't keep a consistent roster, especially a consistent roster that's actually improving from tournament to tournament, I feel like you're going to get hurt overall. And I don't know, if the top teams keep their people and all the bottom teams keep shifting their people around, it's just going to turn into this cycle of we're not the top teams. Well, of course not. They've been playing longer together. They've been staying stable. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, on the other end of that, it's in some ways it can kind of not help overtake those top teams, but keep things even on the second tier of teams because now, somebody goes to another team, maybe they mesh well, but they match up against his old team. He knows what they like, how they play, so they've got some good info on that. But and also as the game progresses, gets more popular, which I think it's still continuing to grow. I don't really think it's stalled out, which it could potentially if things don't change soon. We're gonna start having up and coming players we've never heard of enter the pro scene, which could really help boost some of these teams maybe to the next tier, and hopefully that doesn't mean they get swooped up by somebody and then now they're on a top tier team, but in order to that team would have to drop somebody down. So I don't know, it's a lot of mixing, a lot of changing, but hopefully and again I was really happy with the quality of the games this tournament, so as long as it stays like this, keeps things exciting keeps things yeah, that's right. I guess I'm happy with it. Multi, you got anything?
Yes, those words were in the right order.
Yes.
Keeps things exciting. Yeah. No, I'll just echo what you said. I'm just expecting even more close matches and for people to just figure out this game all the more. I mean, these pro teams are practicing so much. I mean, it is their job. So the stuff we're going to see out of that practice already has blown me away, and I just think it'll continue to.
Yeah, and think about it. We got Udall, Rafflecopter, Huge, I think,
right,
from Heroes of the Dorm last year. Heroes of the Dorm's coming up this year. Maybe we'll have some new breakouts that are going to enter.
I would imagine so.
So,
yeah, I'd love to see that.
All right, TBK, why don't you let everyone know where we were getting all of our sweet stats from?
We're getting all our sweet stats. So yeah, I'm not going to spend too long on this because you heard all of us mention at least a few of these stats, but D the Hunter, of course, does really in-depth, really in-depth stats from every single game, and he's got his Reddit thread up of team stats and overall hero stats where you can find basically anything you want as far as the North American games go, and he's going to be doing it for EU, and he's been doing it for most of the regions, so it's really good stuff. If you're a big stats person, if you want to see who won what, which heroes haven't seen play, how long the average map lasted, then we'll have it in the show notes. Definitely check that out.
Yeah, he does. Props to him. He does a lot of work on these. But he is from the EU, so during these long tournaments and stuff, his hours get all out of whack. And I know, we appreciate it. I know that the casters appreciate it, the players appreciate it. So it's hard work, and he does a fantastic job at it. Multi, we got some good questions this week. What's our first question you got for us?
In our show questions channel on Discord, we had Jeff come at us with this question for the show that popped in my head recently. In the current Overwatch build, still no beta for him, sadly, you can get skins through loot boxes and in-game currency. So the question is, do you think Heroes should ever allow players to buy skins with gold instead of just with real money? And to address that one really quickly, I think it would be cool. Like, I'm all for it. Obviously, Greg, you wouldn't have to spend nearly as much money on the game as you do now. But that's kind of the point. And I think they're going to definitely follow the model that League of Legends and some of these others are doing, where the cosmetics are largely for real money, and then your gold sink is heroes and that sort of thing. Although, on the other hand, you can buy some skins with gold, the master skins. which can be quite the gold sink as well. So there's a little bit of it, certainly more than there is in like League and some others. But I don't know. What do you guys think? If they made this change at all, would you like it? Do you think that could be done from a business standpoint?
I would like it. I know we've had several discussions kind of like this. I had a discussion like this on Convert to Raid. We did in our little roundhouse thing after the Heroes Charity Brawl along these lines. And while everyone likes free stuff. I mentioned something where like maybe you get a box for each level or each couple levels up through like level 10 or 20 or something to, not only keep new players interested, but, maybe they get a Thrall skin at level 5 and they don't have Thrall, but here comes Thrall free week. That's, makes that player more willing to try a hero maybe they've never tried before, which is always good, not just for that person, letting them know how to play Thrall, how to play against Thrall, but to help grow the base. But at the same time, we need to keep in mind this is a free-to-play game. And as much as I like free stuff, and as much as I would like to not spend as much money as I do on this game needs that monetization and support in order for them to want to continue to develop it, especially with the player base isn't the largest of the MOBAs right now. You could kind of say it is struggling a little bit in that standpoint, so it needs the money spent on it in order for them to continue to grow it. I don't know. TPK?
I don't know. I agree with you. I mean, they have to make money somewhere, right? At the end of the day, all free-to-play games have to make money to continue to be free-to-play or to continue to operate in general. As far as gold stuff, I mean, there is sort of a precedent there. I mean, we have gold-only mounts that you can't buy for real money, that you can buy for gold. I could definitely see Blizzard releasing skins or sets of skins that were a gold sink instead of a money sink, or maybe both, where it's like, this skin you can buy with gold, but you can also buy it with money if you want it right now or something. I could definitely see them releasing some form of that.
Like promotional skins or something?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
I don't see it being a normal thing for sure, because that's skins, mounts, and heroes are their main form of monetization, but it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, and there's definitely a precedent for it if they chose to go that way.
Actually, something I think could work. What if, along with the store sales they had each week, they had a skin or a mount that for that week was purchasable with gold? I think
like that.
I think that
totally
would even
It's not
itself out, because then you're spending. Not everyone's going to do it every week, obviously, because you have to farm up the gold. But a player spending the gold on that skin for that week or whatever, now it takes that gold pool away to possibly buy a new hero. So they're spending money elsewhere. The
problem with that, though, is that I know I, for one, like to watch for the sales quite a bit, like when I picked up Rhaegar, for instance, last week. And I could see myself in that sort of scenario just waiting for it to come on for gold for certain skins and waiting, never buying it. Actually, the fact that I know that it's probably never going to be available for gold makes me more likely to get a skin with actual money, just because, I know that that's my only option.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to speak for everyone. Like, that's how you
true.
do it. For me, I would do the same thing probably. I would probably stop buying skins. I would do that with the gold, because I buy heroes when they come out with money, not with gold. So I don't know if it would work itself out or not, but I don't know. I think it could be interesting. I know.
So
yeah,
there was a little bit more that went on with this discussion in the channel. We actually had Excited Soup, Sardonic, and you, TBK, threw down a little bit as well to kind of expand on this a little bit. And more or less the discussion went toward, okay, so why really is the account level cap at 40? And are there any other sorts of progression forms that we would like to see? I mean, I think a lot of this, too, is on the tail of the new progression system in Overwatch, in which there's a Paragon, Diablo-esque, no level cap at all. You just keep progressing over and over, getting new rewards. So, I know, TBK, you were chomping at the bit to get at this one a little bit. Do you think there's anything new that could be done in this, regard?
Oh, most definitely. And I think the precedent is there as well. I mean, we see it in Overwatch. Overwatch basically has unlimited levels, and
Yeah.
you get a loot crate every time you level. Diablo 3 basically has unlimited levels. You go into this Paragon mode and to where you get this Paragon level or whatever. So I could totally see Heroes. You have your 40 levels, you've got, whatever those entail, and then you get a Paragon status or something, maybe a little number to the right of your level 40 or something like that. And it's more a prestige thing because that's mostly, games played more so than anything else, not necessarily an indicator of skill, but it would show that hey, that player's played a lot of games. He's Paragon 172 or something like that. And then you have some sort of gold reward at each Paragon level or every 5 Paragon levels or something like that. So people continue to have something they're working towards. And then you could even have big milestone things like at Paragon level 50, you get this special Thrall skin. Paragon level 100, you get this special mount. At Paragon level 25, you unlock a 4th color for all your skins, or a 4th color for all your mounts, or something like that. There's a lot they could do with it, and so I most definitely think there's room for it.
I like that a lot, but if I can jump in here, I'm worried that it's too late for a system like that. Only because when I compare, the games played already, I would feel like if I had sunk a ton of games in, and this was my main thing. For instance, actually, one guy impressed me in our chat, Dixo, said that he had just hit his 4,500th game, for instance.
Dang.
So, like, if a guy like that, who's just played a lot and really enjoys the game, starts the Paragon system with a new patch at the same time, someone like me who, I don't know my exact number, but I know it's probably not that high. If we don't get kind of back rewarded for those games that we've already played, like if he doesn't start off at a huge Paragon level compared to me, then I would think it's kind of unfair. And for someone to start off really, really far down the line when they implement something like this, that would be a ton of free stuff to be giving them at the same time, and it just seems like it might be too much and just would create a lot of salt. Not to be a negative Nancy on it, because I love the idea.
I think to that point, and I completely agree. I mean, if Blizzard were to implement an extra level system, they're not going to be able to please everybody when they do it. There's no way, like you said, it could be fair. So the only thing I can think. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say where they need to do it is with the individual hero levels for sure, and they need to have like some level 20 super master skin that's crazy cool that everyone really desperately wants, and you only get by really putting in the time. And then they could back reward those to people who've made it there.
And I think that might be a better way to go towards that thing, because I don't know about both of you guys, but to me, once you get a hero to 10, you kind of lose a little bit of motivation to play him, don't you?
Quite a bit.
I've kind of gotten past that. I don't know.
It depends on if it's Hero League. Maybe I'll pick it just because I
sure.
But
Well,
yeah, quick matches.
wise.
Yeah, no, I'm
especially
I'm going for the
because I have
experience.
so many that I need to get to like level 9 because there's another gold reward at level 9, but I don't have that super motivation to get someone to 15 because I could get 10 characters to level 9 by the time it took me to get someone to 15 just because of how long each of those extra levels take. I don't know. That it might just be me, but it feels like there's very little motivation to push beyond level 10. I mean, not that I don't play them when I want to play them, but there's not a ton of incentive to do that. You just kind of churn through.
Yeah, and as far as the Paragon levels, like account levels, I don't think that they can do it for the reasons you guys said, and also just because, once again, it's a free-to-play game, and you can already earn gold and stuff to buy free heroes if you're getting rewarded even longer. You know, the people who are account level 40 are the people who play this game the most and are most likely to probably spend money on the game. So they don't want to take those players and give them ways of not spending money. So I completely agree that it's the hero levels they need to do something with, and they have said they're not happy with the rewards from 10 to 20, and they are looking at it, working on it. They haven't said anything specific. I do like the ultra mastery skin or master skin or whatever, or skin tints, extra skin tints, and even stuff like that could work with the Paragon system. Like you get Paragon 25 on your account and you get another skin tint for all your characters or something. But as far as gold and stuff like that, I don't really see them doing. But they've been saying they've been working on the hero levels for a while, and I'm really hoping we get something from that soon.
It just has to be something you can really see in game, like not just a portrait.
Yeah.
That's not enough. It's got to be a tint or a certain glow, perhaps.
I mean,
I completely agree.
You would think a tint wouldn't be that hard. More tints wouldn't be that hard to come up with.
No.
And like Smite and stuff has like the diamond skin and stuff. I don't know. That could be like pretty corny, especially, and it could confuse things with like Muradin or whatever his avatar form. I don't know.
I agree. The Smite skin style really confuses me.
Yeah.
You want to keep the character looking like the character and easily recognizable when you go into game. And there's already a few skins that walk that fine line. So like making somebody go, it's Gold Jaina.
Yeah, the Illidan,
like,
and the Illidan skins, the Malfurion skins, even the Lunar Jaina skin and stuff is kind of confusing. But yeah, that's gonna probably wrap it up for the show this week. Let us know if you guys have any input on that question and whatnot. But Multi, why don't you let us know where we can be reached?
All right, we can be reached in-game, certainly, by typing /join space LOTS to get some games in with us there for sure. There's still quite a few people in there. I'd check it out. We've also got our Twitter, @Lords of the Storm. Also our Facebook page, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can send us emails with questions as well, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. Or you can actually go to our Discord channel, which is sticky at the top of our Twitter. Again, the show questions channel is where we got these ones from anyway. But either method works, or just whatever. Ask us whatever. We'll talk about it. For sure. And the Discord, again, is a voice chat system. It's also a just text chat system, in which we've set up a bunch of different channels and stuff. And it's just super fun. So check that out for sure. Of course, we're on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm live, actually now Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Central. So that's definitely going on. And we're on the Zord Network webpage, zordnetwork.com. Also, we do enjoy 5-star iTunes and Stitcher reviews just to help us out, give us the feedback we need, and, make us feel good, keep us relevant. And, of course, the other way that you can give to us in any way is the Lords of the Storm Patreon at patreon.com/Lords of the Storm, where you can give whatever feels appropriate. Right now, the main pressing thing would be the $5 mark is, the preferred access into the Lords of the Lane tournament coming up here.
And the Zord titles.
And the Zord titles, which is way more important.
Oh, yeah, that's so more important.
So yeah, and I mean, just anything helps. We appreciate, of course, anything that comes out of that, and just love you all for everything you've done so far.
Absolutely. You can also find us individually. You can find me on Twitter @GizmoZord and on Twitch at twitch.tv/GizmoZord. You can also find me every few weeks on Convert to Raid, the World of Warcraft podcast for Raiders, and on Blizz Pro Weekly on YouTube. Multi, where can they find you?
I am @Multizord on Twitter. Also doing a Overwatch podcast, The Cavalry, which is on Twitter @TheCavalryShow. You can check us out there as well on iTunes and blah, blah, blah. I'm on that Blizz Pro Weekly show you were talking about, and I'm actually, for the time being anyway, foreseeable future, I'm going to be discontinuing the Hearthstone blog, just because I've got a lot going on right now. I've got a wedding I'm planning, and it's just, I feel like I either need to come out with stuff really regularly or just kind of drop it for now. So I'm choosing the latter, just for sanity reasons.
Fair enough. And TBK?
You can find me on Twitter @TBKZord and on twitch.tv/TBKZord, where you can find me casting Chair League games Monday and Thursday nights. Also, if, like Multi mentioned, if you want to join us for some games, Monday nights and Tuesday nights, there's usually quite a few people on. willing to play customs or whatever, so definitely join. We've got over 400 users on
Yeah.
our Discord now. So come join the fun. It's a fun
right.
place. Full of fun.
And
People smile and stuff there.
It's fun.
Well, we
It's
can't
good.
tell, but you know,
I assume I do sometimes.
they never smile. No, but I just wanted to give a last minute shout out. I don't want to give names because I would forget some, but just over the past few weeks, I've received several messages either through Discord or actually in game on my Smurf account. I guess people recognize the Gizmo Zord more than the Gizmo because there's a lot of Gizmos. But if there's people thanking us for the show and letting us know how much they appreciate it, and in turn, I just want to thank you guys for those messages because they do mean a lot. Just to know people care about the show. Because again, when we started this, it was just kind of a little thing we weren't really expecting people to listen to, and it grew into something amazing. And that's thanks to you guys. So getting that
Yeah,
feedback really just feels good in the heart.
It does. And pretty much anytime any one of us gets feedback like that, we have a little internal Facebook chat that we run between the three of us and a couple others. And yeah, pretty much we all hear about it when anyone writes in with anything like that because we enjoy it. So thank you.
Guys, someone recognized me in game. Look.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes.
And I played terrible.
Doesn't matter.
Whoops.
Do you guys have any last minute shout outs real quick? Nope.
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, then that's
Fantastic.
gonna do it for this week. Thanks for hanging out in the live chat, guys, and thanks for everyone to listen to the show. And we will see you guys next week. Bye bye.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Yeah.